case, this is about mental health crisis. Fifth NYPD officer dies by suicide in 2 months. And of course, mental health is a real thing of what's been going on because, the officers, the firefighters, the EMS, everything you could think of, they work hard every day. They get stressed out. They want breaks here and there, but it's hard. But this officer had died by suicide. Another New York City police officer died by suicide amid what officials have declared a mental health crisis. So there was another police officer from New York City that had died by suicide, and and it's really sad that this is happening because when you got mental health crisis, and you can't take no more of anybody. This is exactly what happens. The Sergeant's Benevolent Association said on social media Saturday that the late officer was a sergeant, but neither the union nor the NYPD have identified the officer. Commissioner James O'Neill pleaded with his police force to seek help for any mental health issues that they might be facing. So he was a sergeant. The sergeant's Benevolent Associate said on social media Saturday that the late officer was a sergeant. They could not identify the officer right now. Of course, Commissioner James O'Neill pleaded with his officers if they have mental health issues, they need to get help. In other words, go see somebody, go talk to a counselor or somebody. To every member of the NYPD, please know this. It is okay to feel vulnerable, O'Neill said in a statement Saturday. It is okay if you are facing struggles, and it is okay to seek help from others. You may not know this, and it may be hard to imagine, but you are not out there all by yourself. So you're just not alone. There's millions of people with mental health issues. It don't matter what it is. It don't matter if you're bipolar. It don't matter if you're schizophrenia. It doesn't matter at all. Just as long as you are going to find help, talk to somebody, because you're not alone out there. And of course, with this NYPD sergeant, he felt scared or whatever, and this is what he did. He committed suicide, and of course, for every member of the NYPD, please know this, it is okay to feel vulnerable. So if you feel vulnerable against something or whatever, please go get help, because this is not a joke at all. On June 5th, Deputy Chief Stephen Silks, 62, was found dead in a police vehicle in Queens, just days away from retirement. About 24 hours later, Detective Joseph Calabrese, 58, was found dead at Brooklyn's Plum Beach. There was 2 other officers that had died by suicide because, they could only take so much before something happens to them. There was a 62-year-old and a 52-year-old that were found dead by suicide. Just a few days later, a 29-year-old officer died outside a precinct on Staten Island. Kevin Prices, 53, a 24-year veteran of the force, he was found dead at his Long Island home at the end of the month. So there was another 53-year-old who worked for the police department. He was found dead in his Long Island home at the end of the month. So, I mean, it is terrible that these people are going through so much because they risk their lives every day to save others. And this mental health crisis issues is not a game to play with. People are getting bullied on social media. It's because they make fun of people with mental health issues. Um, everything is just a mess, and you can only do so much. This is a mental health crisis, O'Neill declared in June after the third death. Yeah, so this is a mental health crisis that he had, that O'Neill declared, because it's terrible for what people are going through. In a survey conducted by NBC New York, 78% of police officers across the country reported experiencing critical stress on the job, with 68% saying that stress triggered unresolved emotional issues. And so there was like 78% of the police officers across the country reporting experiencing critical stress on their jobs. I mean, it takes a lot. They have to work second, third shifts, anything they can get, any part of position they have. And of course, 68% saying that stress triggered unresolved emotional issues. Additionally, 16% of officers said that they had thoughts of suicide. So yes, there was some officers that had thoughts of suicide. They thought about killing themselves, this and that, allegedly. And of course, mental health is nothing to play with at all. This has to be a continuous process. This has to be done at roll calls. This has to be done in video training. O'Neill told NBC New York in June, "We need to talk about this. This can't be a deep, dark secret. People have to understand that there is help available." Yeah, so this cannot stay in the dark any longer. Talk it out about your mental health issues. Talk about what's bothering you. If somebody's hurting you or anything that can get you to talk. Because, keeping this in the dark is not a good thing to do. And this is why O'Neill from the police department say that we need to talk about this. This can't be in a deep, dark secret at all. So never keep it in a dark secret. Talk about it. Give some advice if you have to. Do everything that you can to get it out of you. NYPD Chief of Department Terrence Monahan released a video on Twitter last month where he called conversations about mental health imperative as law enforcement officers around the country struggle with suicide. Yeah, so the chief of the department, Terrence Monahan, did release a video on Twitter last month where he called conversations about mental health imperative. So I don't know where on Twitter where it's at, because it is on there, but but if you feel as though you're struggling with things and you want to, and if you're thinking about committing suicide, think again. Talk to somebody immediately. Just don't go around thinking that you want to do this and do that to yourself, because it's never a good thing. Monahan acknowledged some officers fear that using department resources to discuss their mental health struggle may adversely affect their career. The chief encouraged those officers to speak to family or seek help externally instead. Yeah, so the officers, they were afraid that using department resources to discuss about their mental health issues, in other words, they don't want to try to take advantage of it. But with Monahan, say that you need to speak to a family or seek help externally instead. So in other words, go to a counselor, talk to your family about it, talk to somebody about it, because if you don't, and if you keep it in you for a long time, it's going to affect you. And it's never a good idea to keep anything inside at all. So please talk to your families, talk to somebody about it, what is bothering you. I am out.